You guys have the YouTube deal set up?
Yep.
Okay.
The what set up?
The YouTube thing.
There's a YouTube thing? Oh, is that what this is? The Google Hangout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Google Hangouts it's just like Skype. It's just a webcam, but the YouTube is what records it.
Gotcha.
Yep, and we're set up.
All right. Should we start with a prayer?
Sure.
Okay. You said it last time. I can volunteer this time.
Okay.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this day to be gathered together to study and learn and apply what we're learning as we teach also. We're thankful for this model of learning that we have at BYU Idaho, and we're thankful for the opportunity to study here. Please bless us to recall what we've studied and be able to focus and apply it well and be able to teach one another, and bless us that we'll be able to get in contact with all of our team, those that aren't able to make it so far, that they'll be able to figure out their schedules and make things work as they strive their best to do this online school thing too. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. All right. Do you want me to go through the questions again, or do we want to do that first time?
I put them up. I could read them too. Doesn't make any difference to me. We're all reading the same questions.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, number 2. Anyone who wishes can share a spiritual thought or a scripture if you have one that's been on your mind. Not currently. Okay. I don't have anything specific at this time. Okay, so number 3. So far, we have learned to evaluate business models of startups. Today, we will examine the business model decisions of a startup in a mature industry. As a group, begin by discussing the following questions. First one is, was the VC industry attractive for A16Z to enter in 2009? What was the competition like at the time? What was the typical fate of the new entrants in this industry? Why was this so? What are the trends in VC fund performance during this time?
I think in 2009 was obviously it's less attractive than it is now because the economy was still kind of in the dumps. So I don't know. That's just based off assumption. I don't really.
Yeah, and it says that 40% of venture-backed companies failed, and 40% return moderate amount of capital, and only 20 or less produced high returns. So it wasn't very attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said to succeed in venture capital, you had to be one of the top 5, and that to get there, you had to have amazing deal flow. So I think as far as whether or not it was a good time to enter, I think that depends on, well, I guess there really isn't a good time to enter, but part of me feels like it must have been an okay time for them, or maybe they just picked the right investments because they did get that deal flow that they were hoping for.
Yeah, they were able to raise $300 million stage agnostics and investments in Silicon Valley. So yeah, they must have just talked to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, they focused on the internet, which if you consider that, I mean, 2009, everything was booming, Facebook and Google and all those big companies. So in that sense, as far as being a VC for those people, that made sense to me. Like that's not a horrible time to be getting into that. I don't know if that counts as one of those like disruptive industries. I don't think so, just because the internet industry is already around, but in the sense that these newer, bigger companies. I forget what the exact wording was. Something like late stage or something, like ones that have already proven that they're going to do something.
Yeah, stage agnostic.
So I don't think it was the worst time for what they were trying to invest in, but I think it was hard in general, if that makes sense.
Well, and they knew they wanted to do like a different business model as well. So that could have helped them as well.
That's true. I think that's one of the questions. Let's see what the next one is. Yeah. So, sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. With all the entrenched incumbents and catch-22s, what silver lining did A16Z see? How did they plan to succeed in this difficult environment? So I think that's what you were starting to get at as far as a different approach to management. Did you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I can. So I think it said in the reading that normally, like the owners or whoever came up with the idea doesn't run their own company. And they knew what they were doing. They wanted to run their own company. So that's kind of what they did. And they decided, instead of making it like a traditional VC where you've got, what was the breakdown? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, they had like an operating team.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find what specifically that included. There was like people that had different focuses.
Let's see if I can find it in my notes.
Yeah, because it says it talks about the when basically other VCs, you know, they'd rather have a quiet office area. People, you know, kind of stick to their own business and their own.
Like a morgue. I liked that.
Yeah, their own goals. That they all have their each individual targets to meet. But at A16Z, it was, you know, loud and rambunctious, and people, you know, communicating, and you know, it was like a, you know, organized chaos type deal where they, you know, they were open and they were flexible and stuff like that.
Yeah, it says they had 8 GPs, 14 supporting professionals, and an operating team of 43 professionals.
And those people focused on business, corporate development, technical and executive recruiting, and marketing. So they covered the whole spectrum of what they might need to know.
Yeah.
And the traditional, I guess, VC had more general partners than juniors. So
they used a term in here, what was it? It's like the opposite of full partner. Now I'm spacing. What's that term called? I think it started with an L. Limited partner, that's the word I was looking for. So what's a limited partner? Is that someone who just has a little bit of equity in the company, or like versus a general partner? I got the sense that limited partners were generally, you know, lesser people to the general partners, which is something they're trying to squash for this particular VC firm. But, you know, they were trying to make it more linear and less hierarchical. I can't talk today. But do you guys know what the difference is generally? I was trying to figure that out.
I just looked it up. A partner in a company or venture who receives limited profit from the business and who's liable towards its debts is legally limited to the extent of his or her investment.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Yeah. I think I remember my husband explaining it to me once. I go over my business stuff with him sometimes.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for clarifying. I was trying to remember. Like, I think I've learned this. Okay, so why is A16Z specifically targeting first-time technical co-founders? How has the cost of tech startups impacted the VC industry? How has it impacted the need for technical co-founders to raise capital? Do these trends apply to other sectors such as life sciences or clean tech? So We'll start with why is A16Z specifically targeting first-time technical co-founders? And I think we kind of already pointed that out. Like, these people want to run their companies. Like, they're passionate about it. That's why they got into it in the first place.
Yeah, and it said that they had already, so they made investments about 4 million in 45 tech startups. So I guess that just tells me what they did.
So how has the cost of tech startups impacted the VC industry? Sounds like it's made the VC industry go down, like deflate a little bit, because there's things like crowdfunding, like things are becoming a little more transparent in the capital industry. So the first time, what's it called, the Series A investments aren't needed as soon or as often because of the crowdfunding type stuff.
And to go back, why they had interest in the tech startup could be because all of the GPs had experience in tech companies. They were founders or CEOs.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that. And didn't it say that those people were also good at coaching? So like instead of just coming in and ruling over all the other people, including the original technical founders, they could come in and kind of help them and coach them and let them lead their own company, but just give advice. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep, it did.
Any other thoughts on that or on the cost of tech startups?
I don't have any more.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. And then it says, how has it impacted the need for technical co-founders to raise capital? I think we can cover that. Do these trends apply to other sectors such as life sciences or clean tech?
I think they would.
I feel like they would. Like if they're affecting one part of the VC industry, it would make sense to me that it would affect all parts of it. But I could be wrong. I don't remember reading anything specific that stated it did or didn't include clean tech or biotech, but I might have missed it.
I don't remember reading that. I know that was one of the options that they were going to try to expand to if they stayed and didn't expand to like New York or China.
Yeah, clean tech, it says that clean tech was it wasn't very attractive. It wasn't at the time, but it was ready to change and be more diverse. So people were eventually going to invest more into that. And instead of geographically, they were going to go to the sectors.
And that made sense to me because when I was reading the options for different ways to diversify, I feel like going into another segment, or a different sector, was less risky than diversifying geographically.
That's what I thought too, because they said if they went to like China, they could lose a lot of money because if they didn't know what they were doing.
There's just a lot more, there's like foreign exchange rates and there's different, what's it called, like not codes, but laws, and you know what I mean? Just things are a little different no matter where you go, and you gotta learn it.
Yeah, plus people deal with their money differently in other countries, so they're more conservative in places like Asia and stuff like that with their investments. So
you'd have to know the market really well to be successful that way.
Well, and the same thing with going to New York too, because they said there was a lot bigger companies there.
So they'd have more competition.
Yeah, and they're only like 4 years old. The company.
So what choices do technical founders have for financing that they didn't have a decade before?
Well, they could use, what was it, internet or not internet?
Oh, I think, is that the crowdfunding thing I was talking about? I think that's what that's asking. Yeah, like you said, internet. It's crowdfunding.
Was it crowdfunding? Is that what I'm thinking of?
That's one of them. I was just looking to see if I missed any because I feel like there might have been more. There's angel groups, incubators, and crowdfunding. But I thought angel groups have been around for a while.
Well, and they were part of an angel group, right?
Yeah, like a lot of their, like they started that before, they did angel funding before they even did this. But it says they were becoming increasingly popular. Maybe that was why it was mentioned. Maybe they're not necessarily new, they're just more popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so let's see what the next question is. Okay, so it says, so this is question 4, and we'll go down those bullet points just like we just did.
The last question. Sorry, the last question. I found it. Says that they quote, "There's no such thing as proprietary deal flow anymore." So, so that there's just that scheme or the technique of proprietary deal flow. They don't. A decade ago, that was kind of the way people used it. Now it's all online. It's an online platform, so it's just
well said. That basically sums it up. All right, so VC firms compete on their ability to source, pick, win. How does A16Z's business model influence these abilities compared to other VC firms? On the first bullet says, think of source as the ability to get founders to come in the door seeking money. How does the way A16Z treats its founders differ from the way a traditional VC treats them? Will this increase, decrease, or have no effect on the number of potential deals A16Z sees compared to the competition? Well, didn't it say that they pay them less, but they kind of give them like more power, like they can help the limited partners so that when the limited partners make money, they make money. So it all kind of evens out in the end, plus they get more say. So that's enticing to them because it's not like a morgue, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think because they kind of try to build a better friendship or relationship, so they can retain their clientele. As a VC, basically it consults. They invest. A VC will invest money into a company, and if that company doesn't do well, obviously they're not going to get any interest from that company. So they're just going beyond what other VC companies do and consulting these people. Because a lot of the bigger VC companies are kind of like equity loaners or whatever they call them, the ones that'll invest in companies that are already kind of built, the companies that are already creating revenue. So they're going to toss their money in now because they're already, they already have the momentum.
Is that like another series, like Series B or C funding?
I think so.
Okay. So do we think that the way that A16Z treats its founders will increase, decrease, or have no effect on the number of potential deals that they see compared to competition? I would think it would increase.
Yeah.
Like, I like to be heard. I don't want to just be a person that brings in money. Like, I want to be a person that's gonna get advice and gonna get contacts and, you know, is gonna be heard.
Right. Yeah, I think so too, but because they're broadening their clientele, so they're not, you know, they're kind of just accepting everyone as the way they are. If they're, you know, if they see a profit in it, then they're gonna take it.
Well, and I think it kind of showed that that plan was working, because when they first started out and they were getting that flow through, or that good, what's the word, the deal flow, they were worried that they were just picking like random people, and then they found out that, was it 60% of the companies that they were looking at, other VC firms were looking at, and so in reality they were actually getting good deal flow, and it's not that they were super high profile or anything yet. I think it's because they were doing this, they were treating people differently.
Yeah. For
Sorry,
sure.
my computer froze up, so I'm back though.
Oh, sorry about that. What's the last thing you heard? Did you miss anything?
I missed a lot of things.
Uh-oh.
Where are you guys at now?
Well, we were just about to go over, let's see. How does the operating team help A16Z source, pick, and win? Does it increase the odds of getting more high quality deal flow? And if so, why? Does it affect AC16's ability to pick winners? Oh, that's funny. That's kind of what I just said. But you weren't here, so let's hear your input.
I think it does increase their odds of getting high, better deals, because they mentioned in the case that if they were to expand even more, then more people would be spread too thin on different accounts. So I think having a bigger team would increase more hands-on, I guess. That's what I think.
Good insight. While your computer was frozen, I was just mentioning that 60% of the companies they were looking at the beginning, when they were worried that they were just picking losers, were companies that the big firms were looking at also, just to show that they had good deal flow. And I really think that that's because they were attracting those people, because they had the team, and they were giving advice and contacts that were valued by the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I think it increases their odds of success. Just like you. All right, so we're on question 5, unless you guys have any other thoughts on 4. Okay, so put yourself in the shoes of Andreessen and Horowitz. You must decide whether or not to seek to double your assets under management. Vote as a group. The decision must be unanimous. Consider the following as you decide. How many portfolio companies can one general partner reasonably support? Are there any economies of scale in this business? Will you have to hire more operating team people? If so, will the partners actually make more money for doubling their assets, or will all of the additional profits go to hire more people? I think it depends on the quality of the people you hire. Because so far with their big operating team, they've done just fine. So if they can literally just double that, then yeah, they're going to make more money.
Yeah.
But if they're going to start hiring lots of people because they have to, and now they're in a time crunch, so the quality of people goes down because they don't have the time to interview and find the right people, and then suddenly they're not bringing in the same amount of companies and the same quality of companies, then that's going to be a problem.
Exactly. It's like the I don't know if you guys read Good to Great, that business book. Yeah, talks about having the right people on the bus. So basically, you know, if they're getting the right people on the bus plus putting the right people in the right positions in the right seats. So, you know, with the good employees they already have, you know, they're not going to have to be putting out fires in other places. So So yeah, I think that's right. That's true. Like if they're going to double their assets, their main asset of a corporation is the employees. So, you know, they better put a lot of time and effort into hiring the right people.
Well, especially considering their business model. It's all about the operating team. That's what sets them apart. That's what makes them unique.
That's what I was just gonna say. If they double and they don't increase their people, then they're just gonna be like every other team, every other VC.
I feel like there was a number in the case study that they gave specifically that said how many like portfolios each person could kind of cover without feeling overwhelmed. Do you guys remember what that number was?
Yeah, it was. It says most venture capital partners sat on no more than 10 portfolio companies.
It was 10. Okay, I thought it was 10, but then I couldn't find it. Couldn't find where I'd marked it. Okay, so let's see. Are there economies of scale in this business? Oh, they did mention. Okay, so if each person has 10, and you have so many people, and they're all communicating, and then you double it, suddenly the communication has the potential to drop because now you're trying to get even more people to communicate. It's like when you have groups, right? You have a partner and it's one other person trying to coordinate 2 schedules, like even for visiting teaching or home teaching. Pretty easy. Once you get like 3 or 4 or 5 people in the mix, inevitably somebody's going to fall off the train, you know, somewhere. Somebody's not going to get the memo or not going to be able to make it. Or so I'm wondering if that's what they mean by economies of scale, as far as like keeping the company culture and being able to keep the communication lines open between that many people.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one.
Yeah, the next one, you'll definitely have to hire more operating team people.
So I guess we're supposed to vote and decide if we feel like Andreessen and Horowitz should or should not double their assets under management. We believe it's possible with the right people on the bus, right? Mm-hmm. And if they just double it, I feel like the communication could be there if they recognize that could be a problem and make a point to not let it be a problem. You know what I mean? Like if they know and focus on that. I wouldn't necessarily double again after that. Like I'd have to play it out and see how it went. But I feel like doubling once wouldn't hurt them.
Does it say specifically how many venture capital partners they have in A16Z?
I feel like they did. Where was that?
They did.
Was that where it mentioned all the team members? Was it like 30?
I think it's 20 general partners. Does that sound right to you guys?
Let's see.
Yeah, I was like trying to double check because I know I read it. Okay, so I think it's on page 3. It says they had employed 8 general partners, 14 supporting investment professionals, an operating team of 43 professionals, 3 special advisors, 6 board partners, and 22 staff members in administrative roles.
Yeah, I see that now. Yeah. So they had, what was their partners?
Partners, there was just 8 general partners.
So I think they could, I think they could double it because 8 doesn't seem like very many. And if they're only doing 1 to 10 portfolios, they could, you know, they could even do less and be more efficient. And, you know, instead of doing 10, maybe do 8.
Then they're not stretched as thin too. If they do like 8.
Plus that way they can, you know, if someone else is slacking, for a short period of time, they could cover, you know, each one of them come together and cover the other people's slack.
Would that bring in enough high quality companies to make it worth doubling then if they didn't actually double? Does that make sense? Like if they just almost doubled? Or am I misunderstanding?
So wouldn't it be more attractive to those bigger companies though, having that many general partners?
It could.
Yeah, I think so. Because they would see, if they were able to see how many general partners they had, they know that they're you know, if there was a lot, if there was too many, if there was not enough, if there was not enough, then they would feel like maybe their portfolio would just get overlooked and ignored. But if there's enough of them that they could, you know, they could really actually go into it on a case-to-case basis and dissect each case thoroughly, then
So I think they should double it.
I noticed in the questions, as far as for preparation for this meeting, there was like a little bonus section that I was trying to figure out, and I was a little bit lost, but I think it might shed some light on this. It says to understand the potential financial impact of doubling of assets under management, estimate A16Z's steady state annual revenue and its cost before GP compensation using the following simplifying assumptions. Did you guys try that at all?
I didn't.
I kind of looked at what was that, there was that other instruction sheet that it gave us.
How to analyze a case?
No, the one under that one. Let's see if I can find it.
Because I was looking at these numbers and I couldn't quite figure out what formula I was supposed to plug them into. But I'm not very mathematically minded, so sometimes it takes a while for me to get that little light bulb. Go, oh, and then it all makes sense.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Because I just feel like that would shed some light on this, because we're talking about doubling the people, but having them handle less companies at a time, or less portfolios, right? That's the word. Which to me means that they're not going to be making as much money, especially if you have to pay the general partners for, you know, their, not just their, what's it called, like take home pay, but then there's, I'm spacing out, their like insurance and their vacation time and like, you know, just like stuff like that, that
all their benefits.
Yes, benefits, that's the word, thank you.
But if you do that, then you can pick up more accounts as well. So right now they've only got a certain amount of accounts, but if they picked up more GPs, they could potentially get more accounts.
But would they need double the accounts to make up for double
the business?
Double the GPs. I guess that's my question.
And if you're making more, then you could.
Sorry, I feel like there's a delay. So if you're talking and it sounds like I'm talking over you, I apologize. I don't mean to be rude. I think when I talk, sometimes it takes a little bit to transfer, because sometimes at the end of my sentences, I hear myself. So I don't mean to interrupt if that's what it sounds like. I apologize. Okay, so this says A16Z raises a new 1.5 billion fund every 3.33 years, which is typical for a VC firm. Fund life averages 10 years, so in steady state, A16Z would have $4.5 billion in total committed capital, which is 1.7 times its current scale, and would invest $450 million per year. That part makes sense. Across its entire portfolio, exit proceeds average 2.5 to 3 times capital invested, consistent with successful VC funds performance. So I wanted to verify exit proceeds. Is that like how much money they make off each portfolio? Like once they've paid off their, like, so they get money from the VCs and then they have to pay them back, but with interest. Is that what the exit proceeds are?
I'm Googling it.
That is brilliant idea. Why don't I think of these things? I thought maybe I missed something in the reading. I really felt like I was like, okay, maybe
Yeah,
like, I
liquidate.
don't remember doing this.
So basically, when it refers to the amount of cash or tradable assets received upon a, I think exit, like an end of a contract.
Okay, so it is kind of what I thought it was. All right, so then that makes sense. Management fees equal 2.5% of committed capital, and carry equals 25% of capital gains. Okay, I get the management fees. What's carry? It said ignore thresholds that boost the carry to 30% and the fact that management fees on parallel funds are paid on invested rather than committed capital, which is more information than my brain could handle because I don't know what that means.
So did the management get 25% of the gains? Is that what it's talking about?
Well, there's management fees that equal 2.5% of the committed capital. So then the carry you said would just be how much each general partner gets, but there's more than 4 general partners.
I'm not sure.
Okay. And then 4 says to calculate costs, estimate average annual cash compensation for a non-GP employee. Because we'd have to take them into account too, right? If we double the GPs, we have to basically double all the other people, and there's a whole heck of a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then it says you have to increase that figure to reflect additional expenses for benefits, rent, travel, professional services, etc.
And it says they have 74 non-GD or GP employees. If you double, yeah, that would be a lot.
43 of whom are operating team professionals. And those 43 are super important. We talked about that. The other ones, are they to help with the communication? Because if that's the case, I feel like they would still be necessary. Like we would have to double them because the communication is what's going to be the problem if we double. All of those like assistants. Administrative roles, that's the word. Board partners, special advisors. I don't think the board would necessarily have to double though. The board can have 6 people, right? I don't think that needs to double.
Just the GPs and the other ones. And the operating team professionals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe some of the administrative staff, you know, the people that help with the communication.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you'd have to double the special advisors either. So basically the 3 and 6 I think would be fine, but the 22 and the, let's see, and the 43, there's 43 professionals. And then the 22 staff members. Okay, plus, would we need double the supporting investment professionals? Who are they? What do they do?
No clue. Support.
Supporting investment professionals. Because in my mind, if we don't have to double all those other people, if like some of them get left off, then I don't mind if each of the GPs takes on fewer portfolios and focuses on better communication. Then it would even out.
Right.
But because it wouldn't be a straight up double, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And with any growth in a company, there's going to be growing pains. So there's going to be things that they need to work out as they go. But there needs to be a mitigation per se. But, you know, sometimes there's just stuff that's going to come up no matter what.
Okay, well, I don't quite understand the math, but I think that if we can come to the conclusion that we could double our assets, double most of the staff, but not all of it, and then really focus on communication, that it's still okay to double. Yes?
I agree.
Yep. Unanimous.
Okay. Yeah, because then all the additional profits would not go to hiring more people. So, all right, consensus reached. Any other thoughts on this case study? Because I think that's all the questions for
Yeah.
this
That's
case
awesome.
discussion.
But do you see anything else on the bonus that can be beneficial?
Not unless we can actually figure out the math. Because then we'd have exact numbers, right? Or is there something in one of the exhibits that I missed? Because it didn't mention any exhibits there. Yeah, I'm still not seeing anything that has specific numbers except for like what they invested in, but I don't know how that would come into play.
Yeah, I don't really see anything either.
Okay, so I guess the only other question then is if we do think that they should double their assets, and I think we already covered this, do we think that they should go with sector diversification or geographic diversification? We decided on sector, right?
Yeah.
The other ones are just too risky, I think.
Yes. Okay, well, then I think we've covered everything. And I'll have to keep crunching numbers. If I get any insights, because a lot of times after these meetings and like letting it sit and just kind of mulling over what we talked about, I get, you know, new insights, then I will let you guys know. I'll send out an email or something, but no promises because I'm not super mathematically minded.
Do we need to leave a timestamp on this? Like a summary starts at 22 minutes or whatever.
Well, in the past we've had a summary, but in this case it's the whole discussion. Am I wrong?
Yeah, should I just say when the discussion starts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could have him skip the prayer because we started recording before that.
So I'll just put when the discussion starts.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
All right, I'll send out that link again for you guys.
Sounds
Cool.
great. Do we want to discuss when we want to meet next time? Are we still live?
I can stop broadcast. There we go.